In this lesson, you will learn how to build an NLP-like Q&A API. As you can see in this diagram, our purpose is to simplify the task of NLP-like, such as entity, fulfillment, and webhook, into a single function using Google Sheets to perform comparable features. This is the flowchart of how the Google Dialogflow platform responds to user intents and how to manage entity, fulfillment, webhook, and so on. We will simplify it in order to accomplish the same objective with a single response in your Google Sheet. To respond the request from the user along with the entity values. So now, this data is to be sent to our webhook or database in your Google Drive as example, so that the required information can be fetched and sent back to user to fulfill this request, as you can see in this diagram. In this practice, we want to simplify the response to respond the user intents so that the entity, webhook, fulfillment, and so on will be omitted. Instead, we are just using a response column in worksheet data to simplify the complex process. In this practice, the type of response will consist of textual, external URL, video, image, or PDF file in your Google Drive. Because we do not set any attachment type in the script of this API, so that only the URL will be displayed to the chatbot user. If the response media or files comes from your Google Drive, remember to switch the URL format as shown here. Since we have discussed the code in detail in the previous chapter, so here we only explain the parameter or variable related to this API to avoid this API being unable to execute due to some negligence of small details. First, use your own spreadsheet ID and worksheet name in the script. Next, attribute is not set to any type of attachment, so the content of the response will be displayed directly in the Google Sheet response column. Once the variables and parameters have been modified, publish it as a web app and store the URL of this API for later use in step 3. If you have any questions about how to publish scripts as a web app, please go back to the early chapter to check it out. Copy the URL generated in step 2 and paste it to the JSON API plugin as shown here. Don't forget to add the user attribute at the end of the URL. Next, add the attribute name QR_response in the text car below the JSON API to receive the outcome from the Google Sheet. First, we want to test the intents that will respond the text only when the user enters API, as you can see here. Let's try another intent by entering the search JSON API, and the answer comes from the external page, the Charfuel document website. Let's try another intent by entering the JSON API video, and the response comes from the video in your Google Drive, as you can see here. Last, let's try another situation. When the user input intents does not exist in the intent list of your Google Sheet, it will reply the following message: the intent you enter does not exist, which this text is in the script.